Hi everyone, welcome to Creative Cutter Room. As you can see on this project, we're working on the creating sweater pillows. So if you saw my haul video, you noticed that I bought a couple of different sweaters that I was thinking the texture and pattern of the sweater would work great for these pillows. So I've gathered all my supplies and I'm going through which sweater will fit what pillow form I have. So this is an actual pillow form that I had purchased, and I'm sort of matching the sweater up to the shape that I think would look best. So this one is going on a pillow form that I actually purchased, and I'm cutting the sleeves off of the sweater. I like the button-up look of this, and on other videos I've seen of sweater pillows, you can insert the pillow from the button front. So I'm preserving that part of it, just taking off the top and the bottoms. Just a funny side note, on the sleeves of this, my mom liked the look of this so much that she kept the sleeves to make leg warmers out of. I hadn't even thought about that, but that's something you might want to think about. This pillow, as you can see, already has a design in it. Had I thought better of that gray design and how thin that pink was, I might have covered it up. But this pillow was one that was part of a bedding set that my daughter had, and she had spilt, I think, Coke on it. She opened up a can of Coke while she was in bed, and it sprayed all over the pillow. So she stopped using it, and rather than just throw away the pillow, I thought I'll do something else with it. I'll recover it. And so that one seemed to fit this pink sweater. I thought it was thick enough that it would cover the gray, but as you'll see in the final step, you can kind of see the shading of the gray inside of the pink. It's not enough to bug me, and I think it looks great, and it's a great way to repurpose or recycle a pillow. So this sweater fit perfectly. I think had it not been a pink sweater, it would have hidden that gray even more. So just something to think about as you're picking which pillow or which insert to put inside of your sweaters. Keep in mind what it's going on and if there are any patterns or designs or colors that you need to cover up. So that's my second pillow. This pillow is in my bedroom, and I really like the colors of it, so it's not one that I want to keep permanently in this way. But I thought this is the right shape for what I want to do. So to create that shape, I bought a brand new pillow. This one came from Big Lots. It was $3.99, and I'm going to cut this to make the size of the two pillows that I want to do. So if you have a pillow that you want to just recycle and use the stuffing basically to create new pillows, that's a great idea. I didn't happen to have any used pillows, but I did find this one so inexpensively that I decided that it was worth using, that it was worth cutting up and using for this project. So here I am just cutting it in the two sizes I need. Again, that bottom half was about the size of the one that I am thinking of. And then the top half, I'm going to actually turn into that heart-shaped pillow that I mentioned. So I've got two of these pink sweaters, and I wanted to use one pink sweater for a heart-shaped pillow, and that's what this bigger piece will be for. This shorter piece I'm going to turn into a rectangle pillow, and it will be covered by this gray sweater, which I mentioned in my haul video is actually going to be the long ways. So I wanted this sweater to be a longer pillow, and I wanted to keep the pattern of the sweater going across the width of the pillow. So here I am again taking off the sleeves. There's some ribbing on this sweater, actually on all of the sweaters, and I cut that off of this one. This sweater was also shaped because it's a little bit of a sweater dress, so I wanted to be sure and cut straight and remove some of those hip curvings that the sweater contained. But this is the pillow insert that I'm going to measure from. It happens that that red pillow actually works better, so I'm actually just making this sweater able to slip on this pillow, and then I can change it up in my bedroom from, you know, when I want to go with the gray look or when I want to go with the red tan look. So either one works. I'm not currently using it right now as the red tan on my pillow. It sits in the corner because my husband hates taking the pillows off the bed, so I thought it's perfect to put it out in the living room with a new sweater cover, and so I stuck to this one. You'll see that I use every bit of the other two pillows, so don't worry about me having cut them up. I do end up using everything that I've cut up. So here's me just taking the ribbing off of that sweater and getting it ready, and that's the shape of that one. I'm glad that I was able to speed this up for you because I didn't think all of you wanted to watch. But I'm showing you here how how I plan to mold this pillow to be the heart-shaped pillow. It turns out that the covering there that I'm working with is so thin and frail, ends up not being worth saving, but I do use it to make my pattern. So what I'm doing here is I just took all the stuffing out of it and I'm using the covering to help make the shape that I want to cut. Now as I'm cutting this is my first attempt at making a heart-shaped pillow. I would say for those of you that are used to making heart-shaped paper crafts, don't stick to that wide shape. What I should have done here, rather than go as wide as possible, because I was hoping to cover the whole length of that pillow form, is to have gone narrow and concentrated more on the circles. You can see what I mean here as I hold it up. I'm sorry that's out of camera, but it's more wide than it is rounded at the top. So that ends up giving me some problems as I sew it, so I'm mentioning it here now because I go with it. The pillow ends up being cute as I finish it, and you can tell it's a heart shape, but I had to sort of nip and tuck as I was sewing it to really make sure that the curves of the heart stand out and didn't look super wide. My daughter just said it ended up looking too wide for her taste, and she thought I should have worked more on making it curvy and kind of the narrower heart shaped. But so all I did was take that pattern, cut it away from the sweater. I think I left about a 1/2 inch. It turns out you could have cut it right to the size and then shaped it inside from that cut line, which I hadn't thought of at the time, but I was just cutting it to my pattern, thinking I would sew in about 1/4 inch on either way, the pillow form or the sweater. I end up sewing quite a bit more, so even this ends up being bigger than this pattern ends up being bigger than the final pillow shape. But it's a good learning experience. I now know what to look for when making a shaped pillow, what you want to design for. It looks great here. Had I been able to sew the inside form to this shape, it probably would have worked, but I think you can kind of see that it's just too wide. Now this is a shot, I think, of all of the finished pieces, but here is me doing some of the sewing. So here's the first sweater, and I basically just sewed it in right sides together around the outside, left a gap to insert the pillow, and I'm just slipping that one in. I'm going to end up hand sewing the seam shut, and then I'm going to put it so that the seam can't be seen from the front and mostly from the back. And as you can see, that gray, if I get it in camera, you can sort of tell the shading of it. Here I am hand sewing it. I'm sorry that some of this is out of camera, but it's just your basic basting stitch. You can do a hem stitch also, but I'm just running that along the bottom, mainly trying to keep as much of the seam towards the back of the pillow as possible. This is a nice chunky sweater, so the thread and the seam is really great to hide here in the pattern. So you're not seeing, I just used a light pink thread that matched, and the first knot was the trickiest because it tends to slip through, so I just did a little cross stitch and knotted it as I sewed it, and then just finished hand sewing this shut. And it's really just that simple. I used my machine to sew all the way around, and then I hand sewed the opening where I inserted the pillow. For all of these pillows, they were the same way. So here's the finished piece. You can see a little bit of that gray shading, as I mentioned. There's the stitching to the back where I hand sewed it, but it turned out great. I was really happy with this for my first attempt at a sweater pillow. It is a little bulkier in the corners and maybe not quite as squared off as I would have liked, but it looks great on the couch, so I went with it. So here I'm pulling out some fusible webbing, and actually this one's not fusible, it's just stiff. It's what you put in collars to keep them stiff. And I didn't know at the time as I was adding this to my pillow that this was tearaway webbing, so I wanted to give the pillow a more, because this one's long ways and my pillow insert was going to be dark red, I thought it would be better to get some of this material and cover up the red and help that material keep the sweater from catching in my machine. So I made it the exact same size as I wanted the sweater pieces to be, and I put right sides together and sewed this to one side of it, and to help keep it stiff and help it go through my machine. As I was stitching it, turned out that it was the rip away kind, so I really just tore it up and stitched it closed. And then here is, well, sorry, we switched really quickly to the heart-shaped pillow, but here is this heart-shaped pillow with the third sweater, and this one is just stuffed. I ended up not using the form. I just literally stuffed the batting into the sweater. This was the thinnest of all the 3 sweaters, but the batting doesn't come through, it doesn't show through, it formed up nicely, and so I was able to complete this heart-shaped sweater. You can see that I tried to bring it in a little bit, and I tried to fluff up the rounded corners so that it would work. But I hope that you like this project, that inspired you to at least try it. If you have some sweaters that you love for a special reason and you just don't want to get rid of them, but there's no reason to keep them stored in a box, make them a great pillow. Make them a great gift for someone. Keep them around on your bed or just use them to decorate for the holidays. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.